discuss some of the ideas that are contained in the papers and have the opportunity to interact with the authors of those papers. The track Communication, Education, and Social Media has many years in the team conference, and we're happy to let you know that this is probably the year that in which we have received most of papers. So this means that we have had a successful call for papers, and we have received papers from many authors from different countries. Also, the papers are in the scope, they're already broad. This means that there are different approaches to the papers. So we have papers related to COVID-19, which is something that we expected because of the current situation. But we have other papers related to the use of media in education, and also the use of social media, the participation of young people with technologies and media. And all those papers are also in a PDF format in the what we call the camera ready format. So if you want to take a look at them, you are free to do it, and we invite you actually to do it. So the dynamic for today will be to have a small presentation for every paper. So we don't need slides, but if any presenter wants to show a slide, it's also okay, but it is not necessary. The slides and the video are already in the videos. So the idea will be just to have a short presentation of what is the paper about, where were the main findings, and after that presentation, we'll have some R&Q, research and question session for each of the papers. So I think it will take around 3 to 4 minutes to every presenter for the speech, and there 4 minutes more for the discussion. So there is an order. The order is not what we have on the web page, because we established a different order. And the order is the one that it is contained in the editorial that we recently wrote with David Blanco. And in that editorial, you can see all the papers from the 12 papers we have. So we're going to begin with the use of Instagram as a digital marketing tool by the Brazilian Library Councils in time of COVID-19. This is presented by Daniel Sobreira, Deborah Santos de Oliveira, and Francisco Jose Garcia Peñalba. We have, right now we have connected Daniel. Daniel and Deborah are already connected. So I kindly ask Daniel and Deborah to open their cameras and microphones, and just to give us a brief overview was where the paper is about. And after that, all participants are invited to make questions to Daniel and Deborah. So Daniel, Deborah, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Thank
I
you.
think Deborah, Deborah, I think is with a problem with her audio, but but I'm here, and I will do this short presentation. Our work is about the use of Instagram as a digital marketing tool by the Brazilian Library Councils. Deborah is a librarianship in Brazil and have experience in this area. And I'm a professional of communication, and we think in young our experiences, professional experience, to talk about this theme. Today we live in a society where information access has become increasingly close to most human beings, and in the librarian science is not different. And in this situation of pandemic, we have seen some areas like librarianship is affected by the transmitting communication for society. And in our work, we have a objective, which is, 1 minute, please. We have a research question is, have the teams chaired by the Brazilian Councils of Librarianship on Instagram in times of pandemic have undergone changes in order to contribute the knowledge of society in general, more than just communication information only to librarian. Uh, we want to see the librarian councils on Instagram is communicating with only to librarians as usual, or communicating to with the society in general. For this, we do a research in the councils and the Instagram councils. We categorize the teams in some regions too, for analyze the content shared in the Instagram accounts. We observed change in order to bring contributions to society through the inclusion in their posts to knowledge that could reach an audience beyond librarians. We conclude too that's also necessary to make the connection between the demands of society with the perspective of teams that work directly with true information, transmitted the reliability that the area of librarianship carries. If you have some question, we are here. Currently, I think Deborah are listening, but without audio.
Thank you so much, Daniel. So we now have space to interact with Daniel's and Deborah's paper. So if you have any questions, you can just open your microphone and your camera if you can, and pose the question. In the meantime, I have a question or comment to your paper, which is actually very, very interesting. And I just was wondering if you also look at the role of Instagram in other, I mean, in other libraries out, I mean, abroad, not only a Brazilian case, but if you've seen, if this is a practice, I mean, the use of social media, specifically Instagram, is a practice that is being established in many libraries around the world, or it's just a case of your experience in Brazil? Because I mean, probably I'm talking about other contexts where Instagram probably is not an extended tool. Which other, I mean, the question is, which other tools besides Instagram do you think are being adopted by other libraries around the world as a tool to, as a means to transmit information? Which other social media do you think are good for that in different in libraries abroad?
Yes, I think have another tools, but today we think Instagram is the most useful for this librarianship in Brazil. But we have tools like Facebook or another like LinkedIn too. But I think Instagram today for this objective, which is include the society in these teams, we think it's more broad, and for the objective of the work, also it's more specific too, because we can mention this with more more assertive. I think so.
Great. So Miguel have a question. Miguel, do you want to pose the question directly or?
Yeah, sure. Daniel, thank you so much for your presentation. I didn't have the opportunity to read your paper, but I did watch the video. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw you guys collected about 300 Instagram posts, more or less. And so I'm interested in your method to do that. How did you collect them?
Well, this collected this was collected manually. I think we can talk like this. We sectorized the councils of librarianship in Brazil in regions. They are sectorized by I think 20 regions, and we pick the three more broad, more the bigger ones, and in this three ones we analyzed the posts one by one in the two last years, and we categorized these posts in 2019 and 2020, and see a difference in the teams. In 2020, we see more preoccupation with, of course, the theme of pandemic, and but too we see we have seen a preoccupation with communicating with the society, not just pandemic in general, but for combating the fake news or transmitting informations with relevance for the society.
Thank you. We have one last question, and probably we'll go back to this with Miguel's presentation. He will explain how to do automatic retrieval of Instagram information. So in the case of Daniel, it was manual. We'll see at the end of this session how you can also do it automatically with the API. This is a last question for you, Daniel. This is from YouTube, from Maria Giulia Ballatore, and says, did you find more effective the use of the feeds, the use of the stories, or IGTV Reel?
Well, I think more effective in this case, Deborah have answered in text. We use the feed because the Instagrams almost don't post anything in their stories. And I think IGTV is equal. I think that they use more feed, and for analyze the posts, I think it's more effective.
Great. So thank you so much, Daniela, and we'll continue with the next speaker in this roundtable, who is Vanessa Dantas. The speakers are Vanessa Dantas, Clayton Zosa, Cassia Isaac, and Arukia Peixoto. I would like to know if they're here, and they are presenting a paper called Assessing Students' Feelings During COVID-19 Pandemic Situation in Brazil. So I'd like to confirm if they are here, because I haven't.
I don't think any of them are in the group. I don't see them among the participants.
Okay, so let's continue to the next one, who is the paper by Santiago Tejedor, Laura Servi, Ana Perez Escoda, and Fernando Tusa, with the paper Smartphone Usage Among Students During COVID-19 Pandemic in Spain, Italy, and Ecuador. Are any of you are there? No? Similar case. So that's a good thing. We'll have more time for discussion, for general discussion. Okay, let's continue with the next one, who are presentation by Camino Lopez, Maria Cruz Sanchez, and Ana Garcia Valcárcel. Paper is called Scales for measuring internet addiction in COVID-19 times. Same thing. Okay, we'll continue with the next one. Again, Camino and Maria Cruz, who we know they are not here, approaches and guidelines for creating educational projects based on internet addiction. And so we'll continue with this one that is for sure, we have it here. But I would like to know if Patricia is available to, is Patricia Sanchez, David Blanco, Javier Amores, and Maximiliano Frias. Patricia, are you available to come now, or do you want to continue to the next?
I don't think she is right now, so we can wait a bit more. In case she cannot return in soon enough, I could do it.
Perfect. Okay, I'll continue with Alonso Infante Moro, Juan Carlos Infante, and Julia Gallardo. Paper is Key Factors in the Implementation of Cloud Computing as a Service and Communication Tool in Universities. Are any of you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm Alfonso Infante.
Thank you, Alfonso. So you have 5 minutes to make a summary of your presentation so we can discuss a little bit about it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to do a short presentation because I have some problem with internet in this moment, so I will try to do it okay. Okay, our paper is, as you can read, about the key factor in the implementation of cloud computing as a service and communication tools in universities. As you know, in this time, some universities still don't offer cloud computing as a service and communication tools in their service, or their degree of implementation is low, both at an administrative level and at a teaching level, despite its advantage and the fact that this technology began to be implemented in this institution many years ago. Thus, this study seeks to find, through a bibliographic study and a casual study carried out by experts in technology and technological implementation, which are the factors responsible for this, the determining factor in the decision of university to accept and implement cloud computing. The list of tenets is made out of the following factor in order of relevance: is security, pressure from administrative staff, professors and students, support from university management, relative advantage, support from provider information system, government incentive, compatibility, organizational technological readiness, perceived reliability of technology, government pressure, characteristic of rectors, pressure from competitors, other universities, size of university, complexity, and perceived cost. This is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfonso. Very interesting. It's very nice that you bring this topic into this track. I myself, I am a user. I mean, I am a cloud computing adopter, which means that I work with many cloud computing platforms. And especially in the university, we have some services here in Castilla y León, University of Salamanca, and we also have the supercomputer Calendula in Castilla y León, which provide us for access to different virtual machines or even parallel computing. So there might arise many questions in the audience about these. I mean, I have my own some of questions, so I will begin with that. I think one of the problems for the use of cloud computing is the ease of use of many of these services. Specifically, for example, I've hired many services from Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. Also, I've used academic cloud computing services. But they are still, from my point of view, a little difficult to use. even if you are an expert in the area, there might be some difficulties or some difficult process. So my question is, what have you found? I mean, you're working in the University of Huelva, as I understand. What have you found related to programs to educate or promote researchers and professionals in the use of cloud computing? Because I think you have to have these programs for educate, I mean, for transmitting knowledge, but also to promote better attitudes towards the cloud computing, because some people just say that, I don't want to put that on the cloud, I don't need that. So you need better attitudes, but also better knowledge. So which programs do you know that are directly implemented for people, for researchers and professionals, to make them aware of the importance or the good, the pros of using cloud computing?
Yes, it's true. It's the same problem that the ICT in general. No, there is a lot of different tools with different type of use. Sometimes it's very complicated for the people that normally don't use this kind of technology. But I believe that the most important thing to implement in this type of technology is the training. No, you need to organize a program of training to the professor. In our university, we are doing by the program of long life learning with the teachers. No, so we have a program with different courses around the ICT or another. Another attempts, but in this case we will try to implement the use of this kind of technology with concretely training about that.
Okay. I don't know if we lost you or you're still there.
Sorry?
Okay, no, I think I lost you. Okay, we can have more questions to your, thank you for your answer, and we can have more questions for you. I don't know if there is a comment from Miguel Vicente in YouTube who said, good friends and great presentation there. Having a nice time watching this session. Thank you, Miguel, for being here and for watching the channel in YouTube. So anyone that wants to add any question or comment to the presentation by Alfonso can open his or her microphone or camera. Okay, if there are no more questions, we'll continue with, I think Patricia is already here. Are you there, Patricia?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Carlos.
Okay, so Patricia is presenting the paper, the summary of the paper, Formation in Data Science in Secondary Education, together with David Blanco, Javier Amores, Maximiliano Frias, and myself. Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you very much. And so I'm going to present a little brief of this paper. And this paper was born based on a project of study of knowledge of data science in Spain. It's a project financed by FECID. So this paper, Formation in Data Science in Secondary Education, is an application in education, like a framework for working the competencies for data science. So what is data science? It's a discipline that combines computing and mathematics approach to gain knowledge of data, and it's presented as the solution to problems that we can now solve thanks to the new techniques and methodologies at our disposal. So it's been configured as a key capacity for today's society, and therefore it's a competence that should be incorporated in education, and that's our work. And experts are that we must implement the called computational thinking from education, so that the technological gap disappears, and this means that despite living and interacting through digital process applied to new technologies, we generally don't know how it works or how it operates. So young people should have the necessary training to understand how data is acquired and used in the world. And that's something that every citizen should know about data science and achieve more complete professional profiles. So the purpose of this work is to outline data science framework as a transversal competence to incorporate in secondary education. To establish a theoretical framework for all this reflection is based both in the legislative framework and key competence, transversal competence, elements of the curriculum, and those things have been reviewed, and 3 frameworks based in data science competence in a professional application. So education by competence is a fundamental axis, and the methodology includes the results of the survey that belong to the project, the national project, survey on public knowledge and the perception of data science in the citizens in Spain, and the measure of this level of knowledge and these attitudes towards data science. Especially we centered these studies in big data and artificial intelligence, and this help us to make this reflection from a framework competence of data science. So we propose a principle of this framework, and we think that this is a long way to work on it, and a big work to do on secondary education, and if it's possible, and for primary education also. So this is a brief of these paper presentations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patricia, for this interesting presentation about the results of the survey and the approach you have chosen. Any questions for Patricia or comments to her paper, to her presentation?
I have a question. David, you go first.
No, please. I was just going to, in case nobody else had anything, so please go ahead.
Thanks so much. Patricia, thank you so much for your work. I was just interested in one of the findings or one of the results that you outlined in the video presentation that I could watch yesterday, where you mentioned that there was a perception amongst those interviewed that artificial intelligence was more beneficial and less risky than big data. So I was just curious if you knew why or what could cause that perception.
When we ask about big data and artificial intelligence in the survey, we ask about some concrete applications of big data and artificial intelligence. And we have the results for the 2 disciplines, okay? But now we are studying the concrete techniques and the concrete application that we ask to the people. So do you know what I can? We need to profundize. We need to continue studying to these applications, because we think that why people consider big data or artificial intelligence more or less risk or more or less benefits is about the application. Is in the application concrete where is the principal cause of the attitude or of the perception of these people. And we have also a table of emotions that artificial intelligence or big data use or feels the citizens or people. And we are now exactly in this in this point of the study. Thank you. So good questions, Miguel.
Thanks to you.
Thank you. So is there any other question or comment for Patricia? Okay, so we'll continue with the next speaker, who is Ima Garcia. She presents a paper together with Felix Ortega.
Carlos,
Okay.
I'm sorry. There is a question in the streaming, also by Miguel Vicente. He's asking if there are any international comparisons between countries in terms of their data literacy. It would be interesting to compare Spain and certain subgroups of Spanish population with other countries. I can actually answer, as I'm also part of the research. We haven't done that. It's something that we would like to address. But so far we haven't gone deeper into comparisons in Spain and in other countries. So far we've only worked in the Spanish context, but it's definitely something that would be really interesting, because the different national contexts would definitely have a different impact. So yeah, it's a really good question, because it's something that we would also like to know probably in the future, in future works.
Perfect. So do you want Patricia to say anything about?
No, it's okay. This our lines of researching now is about the next the next step compared with other countries.
Okay.
I wish.
Great. And thank you, Miguel, for your comment about the presentation. Okay, I don't know if Ina is already here. She was about to connect to the session. Ina, are you here? Because she was trying to connect some minutes ago. Okay, Ina is not yet, but she will probably join the session. And let's see, we have now Mónica Bonilla del Rio, Barbara Castillo Abdul, and Sabina Sibila with the paper Impact of the MOOCs Conventional Educational Design. Barbara is for sure here, so and Mónica too.
And Sabina is here as well.
Okay, perfect. So you can open your cams and microphones and we'll listen to you. Thank you.
I think my camera is already open. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Sabina Sibila. I'm going to talk in the behalf of Barbara and Monica as well. We are PhD in the University of Huelva, Málaga, Cádiz and Sevilla. And we are going to talk today about investigation we have realized of MOOCs. So MOOCs are a new opportunity in the educational field and are seen as a chance for entertainment. This research aims to find out how innovative resources are used in the lessons that make up these courses offered on the next platform, MyriadaX, edX, and e-learning, communication, open data. The selection criteria for this platform were based on their popularity, relevance in the current context, and the strategy for promoting content in the digital environment. The conclusion is that the design and characteristic analyzed in the MOOCs affects the level of engagement, that the traditional educational design of virtual classes shows a lack of alternative elements of gamification and networking, generating a low level of interest and commitment on the part of the students. If you have any question, you can ask us now, and thank you very much for your watching.
Thank you, Sabina, for this interesting presentation too. And yes, we're open to any questions or comments.
Yeah, I would have a question. I've actually had the opportunity to read your paper, and I find it really interesting. I think the topic you address is completely up to date and very relevant. So that's great in that sense. I would also like to go deeper, if you could develop a bit more the differences between platforms. This is just a qualitative study, so obviously there is, in this case, you don't go deeper into differences between, I don't know, Mediada and edX and the others. But I don't know if you have had the chance to study that at some point, and if you could share a bit about those differences, yeah, between the different platforms, which one you find is more updated, or which one is addressing these issues about engagement better. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your words. We don't analyze deeper the differences between each platform, but we make a comparative study of the different platforms, identifying the different resources they use. For example, in the MOOCs in Mediada X, we detected that the introduction was based on some questions, and for example, also in edX, we detected that all the videos are based in interviews, and they change the position of the camera, but they don't use humor or other linguistic resources that engage people. We also detected that in the three platforms, they post more material to continue further than the videos. And that's more or less what I can say now. Thank you very much.
Perfect, thank you.
Sorry, thank you so much. Is there any other question to Sabina or to the paper that has just been presented? If not, I think we already have Ina on board, which means that she's already connected. Inma. So Inma, we'll give you now the microphone, and if you can open your camera, you can present briefly your paper, which is entitled "Communication and Education at Museums in Castilla and Leon." Are you there, Inma? It seems that you are connected, but I don't know if you're hearing us or you're having problems with your microphone, because we cannot hear you. Okay, it seems that Ima is having some technical problems, probably because she's connected, but we cannot hear her. So Ima, if you can solve those technical problems, you can present later after the next presentation. Okay, so we'll now go to the presentation by David Blanco, Patricia Sanchez, Javier Amores, Maximiliano Frias, and myself, who's going to be presented by David Blanco. It's entitled "News Media Behavior in Twitter During a Major Political Event." So, David.
Perfect. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, everybody. Exactly. We are talking now here about news media behavior in Twitter during a major political event. To put it in a nutshell, this work is trying to understand how big news media from Spain use Twitter to communicate political information. We did an analysis in the context of the general elections of November 2019. And we do it because we consider Twitter to be the political agora and a source of information. Also, in which mass media, are still prominent in social media. We find information from different sources, but still mass media and their profiles or their accounts in social media are the main source for information. So what we did was downloading the tweets posted by the 20 biggest news media platforms from Spain, 5 printed media, 5 radio stations, 5 television broadcasters, and 5 digital media between the 28th of October and the 9th of November. Then we conducted some different analysis, and we found out that printed and digital media are the most active users, and digital media are the ones that are most interested in politics proportionally. Although printed media are the ones that post the most or the largest amount of tweets. I'm not going to go any deeper in the results. You can check the paper or it's a bit more detailed in the video. But in order maybe to bring it into the discussion, I would like to highlight that social media are a complement for traditional media to communicate. And also that, especially in the context of this track, I think we would like to highlight the need to keep studying the use of social media as a way to communicate, right? We are using here Twitter as a source of information. It's something that is going to be discussed also by, for example, Miguel, you addressed that in referring to Instagram. Other people have already talked about Instagram as a source of information for analysis. So we do it also in this case with Twitter, and in this very particular case with political information from mass media. But yeah, we want to highlight particularly the use of social media, in this case Twitter, as a source of information. Yeah, that would be it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. So do you have any question about this paper or this presentation?
I do, just a brief one.
Okay.
Thanks, Carlos. Thank you, David. I guess this is probably something that is answered in your paper, but I'm just curious as to what the landscape is like on Twitter to obtain data. So is it easy for you to go in and download? Can you do that automatically, or do you have to do it manually?
Yeah, it is automatically collected. We use the Twitter's API. It's actually probably easier than what you're going to show us with Instalooter. Ours is a bit easier, I would say. In fact, the Twitter is, I would say, the social medium that is most analyzed in the academic world, because it's the easiest probably also to collect data and to automatically do it also. So yeah, it's not very complicated. We have done, we do it with the API REST and API streaming, so we could collect all the tweets posted by all these the 20 accounts. So yeah, it was more or less rather easy, let's say, given the context. And yeah, we could access a large amount of tweets. I'm not sure now how many they were, but we are talking over 20,000 in these 2 weeks. Probably much more. Yeah, probably much more than that. I'm not sure now, but it was a large amount of tweets. So yeah, it was not complicated per se to collect them.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Miguel, for your question too. Is there any other question or comment about this presentation? Okay, so we'll continue with the presentation by Miguel Varela and Miguel Vicente too. And the title of their presentation is Automated Image Extraction from Instagram for Social Research. Thank you for presenting this interesting paper.
Thank you, Carlos, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about this. Now, I have to say, I think our paper is a bit of a satellite to this topic because we don't go in detail about education, but I think it is still relevant to some of the things that have been discussed today. We do hang on to that part of the social media of the track. Now we're concerned with Instagram and visual information, and we do because we consider Instagram a sort of visual diary where you can find millions of photographs produced by people from all over the world. And we're particularly researching at the moment health education and how people visualize cancer on social media. And we try to extract information or to detect information about the types of images that people produce when they talk about cancer, but also the volume of images. And we've tried to do that manually, and we've given up because it's just too much. Just to give you an idea, only with the hashtag cancer, there are more than 40 million images on Instagram. So it is really very hard for us to follow that as it grows exponentially. Just 2 days ago, it was the International Day Against Breast Cancer, and so it keeps growing. And we started looking into ways to do this automatically, to automatically obtain images that were relevant to our research. And we know that it was possible with certain degree of ease before 2018. And it was quite common, but then comes 2018, comes the Cambridge Analytica controversy, and then all of the social media providers shut their doors and block access to their data. But what we see is that some researchers have continued to find ways to obtain images automatically from Instagram. And one of those ways is what is called a web scraper, literally a computer program that just does this and downloads images and content from a particular website, in this case, Instagram, and it's called InstaLooter. This is a tool that is very well documented online. And as a disclaimer, we have nothing to do with it. We're not the creators, we're not the thinkers behind it, but we've explored a little bit the documentation. We found that it is fairly easy to use. And basically when you implement it, you can define a set of dates, you can define the hashtags that you want to look into, and so it makes the work very easy. But there are challenges, and there are two types of challenges that we find. The first one are technical challenges. It is a limited tool in the sense that we can only look for certain keywords and one at a time, not several at a time. And it does require some degree of being comfortable with writing a few words of code, but especially there are ethical implications. And this is where the biggest wall is for us, in that this is not allowed by the Instagram terms of use, even though it has been used by researchers as recently as this year on a study on HIV risk perceptions. So we're stopped by that wall at the moment. And I think that the purpose of the paper is precisely to highlight that, to highlight the opportunity that is there, but to also spark a bit of a discussion as to how can we move forward. And you have all the details about how the program is set up and the specific implications ethically in our paper. So thanks very much for the time.
Thank you so much, Miguel, for this interesting tool that you show us. And I particularly was interested in reading your paper because there are some ways to access to this big data field, but some of them are particularly complex for social researchers because they have to code a lot. But with this tool that you show, I think it is very accessible for many researchers. I don't know if you have any question. I particularly have one for you. If there's any other question, you can do it also. But my question is easy because you're now. It's simple in the sense that you're now as I understand, in the stage of retrieving information. You now have the possibility to get a lot of images, a lot of information. and especially in the case of images, as you said, you can have millions of images, but the way you analyze those images, I mean, you cannot maintain those analysis manual. So you have also to go to automatic classification or object detection, image segmentation. So what do you recommend for people that access this, let's say, easy to use tool to get images? But what do you recommend then for classifying or for analyzing millions of images for people that do not have technical background? They don't know how to code or how to build a convolutional neural network, or, I mean, what is your recommendation?
Thanks, Carlos. Well, the answer to your question would be in a book like this, or hundreds of books like this. It's really very difficult to code images, but broadly speaking, you can think of two ways of doing coding. The first one is you actually undertake manual coding and you review the images, you define a set of hashtags, a set of keywords, and you start assigning them. Hopefully you do that with another colleague who can, contrast that work that you're doing. Second way to do that is to look a little bit into the work that people like Lev Manovich have been doing for several years now. And they have a website that I think it's called the Cultural Studies Lab. I don't remember exactly the name, but where they have some tools that are very simple to use with a graphical interface where you have, all the buttons to click instead of having to actually write code. And where they explain to you how you can obtain some indicators from the images, such as the color, the contrast, the salience of the image. And that gives you some degree of work that you can do to categorize your images. Beyond that, however, I do think you need some degree of coding, or you need to go into software like perhaps NVivo or others like that to actually start developing the tags. I don't have an easy solution for quick tagging, unfortunately.
Thank you so much. Is there any other question for Miguel? Okay, yes, there is no other question. I think it's Inma there now. Is your microphone working now, Inma? Are you there, Inma? I think
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We only have 6 minutes, so I kindly ask you to use 2, maximum 3 minutes for your presentation, and then we have a little discussion. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to talk about our research. Our research presents an original contribution to the complex field of museums audience because we ask the users about their opinions, habits, and preferences. In recent years, studies of the public in museums have shown the importance of knowledge and technologies for learning in this space. In this context, the internet and digital application are the key for museums to implement their relationship with the public. In particular, we focus in our attention on educational context mediated by technologies. And the main conclusions is that the smartphone is the device most used by the young public. The public is unaware of social profiles and applications. There is no two-way dialogue between museums and the publics, and the male public presents habits of use different from the female public. It's okay.
Thank you so much, Inma. You were fast. So thank you for that. Is there any question for Inma? The paper that you presented also on behalf of Felix Ortega?
I would have a question. I think it's quite brief. It's something methodological, something very specific. How did you reach your sample, your 619 people, I think it was? How did you get them, the questionnaire?
And the questionnaire, I use a previous studies for like in Spain, specifically in Spain, like authors of museums in studies, and the focus, and there are small groups in the museums, located in museums in Burgos, in Salamanca, and in 1918.
All right, thank you.
Specifically, when we ask in the survey, we ask concrete habits, opinions, like during the visit I look for information, and I call it, when I was calling the information during 3 months, okay, in 1918.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, David, for the question. We have still time for one more question, if there is any. Okay, I think our roundtable was supposed to last 1 hour, which means that we began at 12 and it's almost 1 p.m. So I think we could just finish by this interesting roundtable. I would like to summarize a little bit what we discussed so far, and also to thank of the participants. In the first case, I think the papers were there was a variety of papers, which means that this track includes papers and approaches that even when they are different, they are connected by a link, which is the digital media in the use of education, or digital media in the use of communication. So this is a very interesting field in which there are many people working around the world, and you can, I mean, every time we are entered into a group where there is the opportunity to discuss about social media, there is a lot of relevant papers that are being in which people are working right now. So this means that there are a lot of work in this field, and that probably the challenge is just to put all that together, in the sense that we have a lot of experts and scattered research in these areas, and we now would in the future we should focus more on put it all together. For example, using the tools and some authors are developing, or using the knowledge that we have in descriptive studies or cross-sectional studies, do more experimental designs or more causal inference. So there are a lot of challenges in this field, but I think we have addressed many interesting topics. So I invite you again to read the papers for those who haven't read them, and to watch the video if you haven't watched them. And I would like to thank all the participants here, and also all, even if you're not, you have not connected to the Zoom for talking, also to the other authors that contribute to the papers. I'm looking forward to see the publications of these papers in some other journals or books. So thank you so much for being here, for sharing this roundtable with us, and I hope to see you next year again in team in track 10.
Just a very quick thing. If everybody that has the chance could connect the camera so they can take a picture of us for the organization, that would be very nice. Thank you.
Very
so
good
those
idea.
who have the chance.
Do you take the picture, David?
Yep.
Okay, so this is like kind of selfie in the internet.
Yeah.
So I think there are some comments here from YouTube. Miguel Vicente says things like key concepts nowadays, like open data science, are directly related with, if not challenged by, these limitations set by commercial platforms. Not an easy legal solution. So Miguel, I think, yes, thank you, Miguel Vicente, for your comment in YouTube. And thank you for all the persons that are following us also in our YouTube channel. And is the picture has been taken, David?
Yep.
Okay, I think we should finish because I think there are other other tracks that need the time on the channel. So thank you again for being here, and I wish you very nice day and week. And during this team, I hope you enjoy other tracks and activities. I hope also you to be safe and healthy during this weird times that we're living. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.